Hello everyone, welcome to another evening of frank conversation on Hard Copy. I am Terry Ikumi. It's 5 days now since the easing of lockdown in the states of Lagos, Ogun and the Federal Capital Territory. The jury is still out as to whether or not it was the right thing to do, given just where we are in our current fight against the pandemic and how badly the lockdown had affected those who depended on daily wages to earn a living. Arguments have also been posited on the method of distribution of palliatives by the federal government. And as far as the health sector goes in the face of the current realities which have been revealed, some have called for state governors to share in the blame of the decay in the health sector. Tonight on Hard Copy, we'll speak with Senator Rochas Okorocha, a two-time governor of Imo State and the current senator for Imo West Senatorial District. Senator Okorocha, welcome to Hard Copy.
Thank you very much.
The times are different. These are unusual times, unprecedented times. Have you been able to adjust to the current realities?
Well, it's a bit difficult, having to learn to stay at home and not shake hands with people, and especially for those who love people. Having to be confined to a place and having to put on your mask, that's sometimes not very convenient. So it's a kind of new life that we're all trying to adjust, and I think we're doing well with that right now.
Are you okay with the way the federal government is handling this? Because as a former governor yourself, I ask this because some people would question the kind of methods that have been employed and the staccato approach to this. You have the federal government imposing lockdowns here, state governors easing it here and there, and it doesn't seem like it's balanced. As a former governor, if this happened during your time, how would you have approached it?
Well, let me say that this is a novel. You know, this whole thing is alien to us. We've not seen it before. Neither have we ever had such experience, and we have not managed a situation like this before. So it's entirely a new thing to this nation. So basically what our people are doing, federal government is doing, is like borrowing from what other countries are doing. We don't have any homegrown method. But suffice to say that as a governor, I would have looked at this thing quite differently. Because one of our problems is that we've not been able to define this disease. If you look at what they tell us on television, what people report every time is, listen, social distancing, wash your hand, make sure, keep a distance. And if you go to social media, you see all kinds of remedy. Take garlic, take this, take that, keep yourself warm and all that. There are a lot of guest jobs at administration. But what people have not been able, or the government have not been able to tell the people, is simple. This is a disease that does not attack the hands. It can never get to you from your hands, from your body. The only place this disease can attack and get into you is through your eyes, your nose, or your mouth.
But that's been the message this whole time.
Yeah. But you see, it's not really past. Because when you say to people, wash your hand, why do you want to wash your hand?
Just so you don't
touch your mouth. It's because you don't touch your face and you don't touch your mouth.
Generally.
So we make you believe that when you shake your hand, that you already have contracted the disease, or when you stay distance. It's not. If these three parts are properly covered, you are fine.
To shake hands?
You can shake hands for as long as you wash your hand before you touch your face. No, I'm just saying for instance.
Okay.
So this is again why we should have allowed our local nature to bear in how we organize this, because our people are not in tune to this discipline that is there. But if we create awareness, and we've been told that these people affected by this are the elderly, those who have underlying diseases and what have you. These are people who are affected. So you must have...
Actually, everyone is affected.
Everyone is affected.
Everyone can get infected with the virus.
But if you look at those who die from this disease, are basically the elderly or those who have underlying disease. In most cases, at least 90% of it.
Let's talk about palliatives now.
Yes.
You are a former governor. You're also a philanthropist.
Yeah.
And what the federal government is doing now is sharing palliatives, distributing palliatives to the most vulnerable in the society. This approach has been criticized by a lot of people. Some say that the people that are supposed to receive these palliatives are not receiving them. Approach, in this case, is the problem. As a former governor and as someone I understand you've done some grassroots outreaches as well. How do you think this should have been approached?
Well, in the first place, I would have given kudos to the federal government for setting up Ministry of Humanitarian Services, which I call the Ministry of Happiness. Because that's what it is. reaching out to the vulnerable, make sure they're happy, and make sure that they get the basics of life. So the establishment of Ministry of Humanitarian Services was like a preparation for a thing like this. Good idea, excellent. But now coming to issue of distribution, you might have a good program, but implementation is poor. But you might have even a bad program and implement properly. So this is neither here nor there sometimes. But the point I'm making is, you talk about the vulnerable people of the society. And NBS report state that we have over 82.5 million poor Nigerians. That is very, very poor. These are considered the vulnerable people. And if you rate them according to state, you can see the state that come highest and everything. Now, but how far is the distribution really making the impact?
You think it is?
I don't think so.
Why do you
Because
think
the channel of distribution would have changed a bit. What I would have proposed is that, take for instance, you have the communities. Everyone comes from a community, or everybody exists in a community. And we have our traditional way of doing things. They know these people better than we do. Because there's no way somebody from Abuja here, or somebody from Owerri can tell you who is very poor in a very particular community. I will know the number of communities who have our traditional rulers. Why don't you get them involved? We have our elected people, House of Assembly members, Federal House members, senators. Why don't you get them involved? Now, if, for instance, you share 50 billion and you bring, say, 7 states, give 1.2 billion to Imo State. If, as a governor, and I get 1.2 billion, I know what I would have done in the communities. There would have been this hue and cry of not reaching out to the vulnerables, because we know the vulnerables. The federal government does not know the vulnerable people better than people who live with them. So the channel of distribution is what I'm really concerned about.
Your position has been canvassed in the House of Representatives. In fact, the lawmakers in the House of Representatives are asking that federal lawmakers should be involved in the sharing of these palliatives. Well, here's why that's a problem. You do realize that the issue of constituency projects, which raised a lot of controversies, has not been resolved.
Like
as far as
no, the point I'm making.
I'm saying, I'm asking whether you think that lawmakers should be involved, considering the kind of controversies that have trailed constituency projects. Remember that one senator, the house of one of the senators in Enugu State was found to be housing constituency project that had practically decayed. So at what point do you now give such a person palliatives to share and hope that people do not politicize it?
Now, let me help you again. I made mention of the communities, and here we have the traditional rulers. When I talk about federal lawmakers or senators, I'm talking about monitoring. House Assembly monitoring, because there must be checks and balances. Not directly involved in the sharing there must process. Be checks and balances. If, for instance, I have 1 billion and my community gets 50 million out of the 1 billion, and I'm a senator representing that area, and I know it's given to this particular community to buy certain things for the vulnerable. Excuse me. There's natural checks and balances. It will not miss. But the problem we have is that before this thing travels from Abuja, before it gets to Owerri, it has the flow fever. Before it gets to the community, it has a stroke. The money is finished. It doesn't reach the people. And sharing of 5,000 naira, how do you do that? Or sharing of the money. So sometimes it is better to use the locals, to treat the matter of the locals. And there's no better person in this case than traditional rulers. If they get the people of traditional rulers, committee of traditional rulers, religious leaders, they will handle this better, because on daily basis they handle this crowd and this multitude of vulnerable people within their society. So this, I thought, a Minister of
Humanitarian Affairs,
which I call Minister of Happiness in my own word, should have dealt precisely with communities. We have been having issues with traditional rulers and religious leaders. This should have been their partners, because these people meet the poor people on a daily basis. How many of us meet with the poor people on a daily basis? How many governors do? How many senators do?
Senator, we will have to battle with time at some point, but let me just draw your attention to this. You are a philanthropist. You will always be one, I believe that. And I can't help but notice that many philanthropists, private individuals, have made donations to the federal government. I know that you've shared palliatives to your constituents, but as an individual, as a businessman, that you are, I'd like to believe that you still are a businessman.
Go ahead.
Because you've always...
I think I just have resigned from business, more or less.
But you still do philanthropy. Yeah, I know you still have your companies and all that. You haven't made any private, personal donations to the federal government. Some would say that you are afraid now that you're in politics. Is that true? You don't want to draw attention to yourself?
Well, let me answer the questions first. First of all, I did my palliative, and I thought you should have taken a cue from there.
No, I mentioned that.
How did I do my palliative that it became very effective? I set up just a 7-man committee per local government. And in every committee, we got the traditional rulers involved and called the religious leaders involved to go and make sure they distribute this palliative to the needy. And everyone that benefited from this got half bag of rice, 2 cartons of Indomie, 5 tubers of yam, and some of them got cash. So you see, it reached the people. They were all screaming because it got to them. But if you don't do it well, somebody can take the whole money and just give a bag of rice to the whole community. This was the thing. But talking about me as a businessman, I was a businessman before coming into politics. And I have a foundation. I have the Rochas Foundation, and I have over 21,000 children. This is really my concern right now, and I hope you talk about it, about the out-of-school children and those who are not going to school. I have these 21,000 children. Most of them are orphans. 75%, 8% of them are orphans that go to my schools. I have schools in different parts of this country. So I'm in touch with the realities of the moment, what people go through. So, and my foundation has always provided educational support to poor children who have never been to school.
It doesn't still answer why you did not donate, or whether you did not donate out of fear because you're a politician now.
No, it has nothing to do with that, because I have a better channel to distribute my...
So you're not afraid now?
Because I have enough in my hand. I'm thinking about 21,000 children I have to care for.
So you're not afraid?
No, I'm afraid
of anything as a politician? No, I mean, we know your legal battles.
Definitely not. Afraid of no. It's not afraid of anything at all. Afraid of what? Why should I be afraid? Have I committed any offense or crime?
No, here's why I think that's an issue. You were indicted by the Imo State panel. I'm sure you're aware of that. The Imo State panel of inquiry that was set up by the former governor, Ihedioha. Yes. That panel was adopted. The report of that panel was adopted by the now governor, Uzodimma.
No, the much I know is that the probe is ongoing, and the one they indicted was a political indictment. I was never called.
You think it was a political indictment?
No, I was not invited to that panel that report.
What we know is you were invited and you have not honored it.
No, it's not. It's not.
You were never invited by that panel.
No.
That panel said you embezzled 6 billion naira Sopadec fund. You also, and then the 311 billion naira bailout fund, that you've not answered for that, and that's why they had invited you, but you have not honored that invitation.
No, I think let me put it right.
All right.
If you remember the story of Emeka Ihedioha and what has happened during his administration, the witch hunting he did, fighting members of my family. So the panel during that time had never invited me. In fact, the first invitation I got was the invitation from before the lockdown. But my question is, for you to invite me, you need to give me a sense of fair hearing. So I've made requests of the panel what they should do for me to become prepared.
What are those requests?
Because I was a governor for 8 years.
What are those requests?
I've written them because if there are petitions against me, I should know. If there are people who have made any allegation, I should know. So nothing has been said to me. I said, let me know so I can defend myself.
But does it bother you?
But let me correct this also. Let me correct this. It's not true that there was an investment of 6 billion by enemies of Isopadec. And if I have to prove to you that, it is only during my administration that Isopadec has ever edifice, a call office block, and never rented. In fact, Isopadec doesn't get more than 200 million naira a month, sometimes 100 to 200 million naira a month. So calculate that for 8 months. I mean, for 8 years, so you know what it comes to. So it's not true. These are just gimmicks.
But does it bother you that the panel was set up by the Ihedioha government? That's the PDP government.
Yes.
The panel presented its report. The APC government adopted that report and that panel.
No, they have not adopted. I think you're getting this wrong.
No, the information available to me.
They have not adopted any report.
They have accepted that panel.
Well, the major panel, which is the major
There's
issue,
just one
panel
panel.
is the panel on contract. There are 12 panels on land, on Isopadec, on so many things. I can't even remember most of them. So the major panel is the major panel on contract, which has a criminal element. So that has not been concluded. They're on it. And I've made requests from them to brief me before I can come to the panel.
Very well.
So, but there's no indictment whatsoever. There's no indictment.
No, there is.
No.
According to the panel, there is.
So which of the...
The panel was clear that you embezzled 6 billion naira Isopadec fund and bailout fund of 311 billion naira. That's the statement of the panel. You may choose to deny it, but that's the statement
excuse
of the
me.
panel.
If I come tonight and say you, as a channel reporter, you embezzled 7 billion and 500 billion of channel fund, and you have never got cause to talk to you, How does that stand?
I think we'll come to those details eventually.
I wish you can. I wish we can make that, make it time so I can explain to the world what it's all about. But it's just like, trying to politicize issue that does not exist.
Very well, then, Senator Rochas, let's take a break. And when we return, has there been a reluctance on the part of senators to sit in this time of a pandemic despite the importance of their job at this time? And what does my guest think about the controversial infectious diseases bill? We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. Our guest tonight is Senator Rochas Okorocha, a two-time governor of Imo State, who currently represents Imo West Senatorial District in the Senate. We're looking at how we're faring in terms of policy choices since the pandemic broke out in Nigeria. Senator Okorocha, it does appear that the Senate isn't interested in sitting. I say this because when the Senate resumed on the 28th of April, I beg your pardon. In fact, when the National Assembly resumed on the 28th of April, the House of Representatives amended its rules to be sitting once a week. The Senate instead adjourned sine die, and then discovered that the House of Representatives was sitting the next week, and then announced the meeting. I have also heard senators saying that from the underside that they did not plan to sit during this pandemic. What's the fear, and is this true?
Well, you see, we're talking about precaution. We're not concerned about ourselves, really. We're concerned about the numerous staff we have. If you know that National Assembly is not like the normal National Assembly you have anywhere in the world. That was more, it's like a marketplace where you have thousands of people trooping every day. So for the safety of the place, I think every precaution needs to be taken.
Like not sitting?
Like we sit when it is necessary. When we have urgent things to do, we can call for a meeting and sit and decide on them. Take, for instance, the issue of the loan that came up last time, which were adjusted. That also took place. We came back to do so. So it's not about city, it's about the results we achieve. But
till now, it's been almost 2 months now since this pandemic broke out in Nigeria, and the Senate hasn't passed any legislation apart from that bill to help this process.
Yeah, but it depends on what we have before us. You see, but what is important now is that we should also show good example. We're talking about lockdown, the federal government is talking about lockdown, and people should stay at home, social distancing.
Let's talk about the infectious diseases bill in the House of Representatives. I'm sure you have followed some of the controversies that have trailed to that bill. But what's your take on the new infectious diseases bill that seeks to repeal the Quarantine Act of 2004?
I think, and let me say categorically, that this bill has become necessary because of this coronavirus COVID-19 issue, in which we're not seeing. So we're trying to guard against the future. But more care must be taken not to give people unnecessary powers that will make them, that will lead to abuse of powers. So making a law is a very, very serious matter, and people must be careful when certain pronouncements are made in the law. I'm saying this because the Quarantine Act, which we're trying to withdraw and make amendments, vesting powers of Mr. President or the DG of the National Disease Control. So we must know the kind of powers is that, because anybody can use the power anywhere. Once you provide in the Constitution and it becomes an act or something, anybody can abuse it. You can use it to like what brought controversy in the Federal House about the powers given to DG to seize properties and to all that, because excess power can lead to abuse of power.
All right, Senator Okorocha, anyone watching this interview now may want to accuse you as one of those who contributed to the decay in the health sector, basically because you were a former governor. I know that as a former governor, you would say you paid some attention to health with regard to the health structures you set up, which we will talk about. But in my conversation with the National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress last week, he said that it's a matter of priority, sector priority. For example, you have state governors building airports and not paying as much attention to health, so they probably do not prioritize the health sector. Now, some would say that you were also busy building statues. How would you react to that?
Well, let me ask you a question, my friend. Have you been to Imo before? If you have been to Imo, then you wouldn't ask the questions you are asking. I think you are getting the whole picture wrong. Now, let me say this to you to understand. Let me start from the health sector. Today, I built 27 general hospitals, one each of the state, local government, a 200-bed hospital, and I built a Sumter hospital, which is about 500 beds, a Mother and Child hospital, which is about 500 beds.
All completed?
All completed.
You have 27 hospitals completed?
No, the two I told you about has been completed. But in the 27 hospitals, all of them have, as a building is standing, covered, tiled, roof. What is waiting is for equipping and landscaping. That's what it's waiting. But I was looking at the future of issues like this coming up now. Now, you might be surprised when you talk about statue now, because this seems to be very, very, very interesting. I've built 6 universities. I'm sure you don't know about it. I built 543 12 classroom blocks in 205 wards of Imo State. I built an international cargo airport. I built just whatever you have in Abuja, like you have, Eagle Square, I have it.
So let's stick with the health
sector. But let me help you with that. So these are all not true. Some of you, the
Which
problem
one is
with
not
me
true?
there.
That's the question.
No, what you're saying here, people who have said that you're part of those who have caused the decay in the
You don't
sector.
think you're part of it?
No, definitely
Let me draw your attention. Just a second. Let me draw your attention to the 30 hospitals you built in the state.
Yes.
A lot of them are in a state of decay now. You conceived that idea in 2013, am I correct?
Yeah, about 2013.
It took 6 years. You focused on building 30 hospitals.
No, it's not that. I focused on building many things. There are a lot of things I built.
I understand. You wanted to build 30 hospitals.
Yes. One each in the local government.
One each. And not
and
one.
5 hospitals.
And just 2, according to you, are functional as we speak.
Yes. Because they were built for PPP in mind. Most of them have been given out.
I also want to
One
understand.
of them is operated by an American company. I also want to
understand the rationale behind you concessioning 27 of those hospitals few days before your tenure expired.
No, because
that's what you did.
No. You get it wrong. One of them, the one in INDICTMENT, is operated by an American company.
It is very expensive.
What? Okay, now you're talking.
I'm being honest. If you built Senator, if you built a structure to reach out to the less privileged, vulnerable, and somebody has to pay 90,000. I'm being specific because that's the report I got. Somebody has to pay 90,000 for his wife to deliver at that hospital. Would you say?
It's not true.
I'm telling you.
Okay, I had a free medical care where if you are pregnant, you go for free medical. How about that?
I'm giving you feedback from what you did.
Yeah.
There's a man who paid 90,000 naira to have his wife deliver at Ikeduru Hospital, specifically at Ikeduru Hospital.
Well, what quality of service the person get? There are other general hospitals that we have that you could have gone there to do for 5,000 if you want. So what's the problem? Don't you like something good?
You haven't really responded to the question on the rationale behind you concessioning those hospitals few days before the end of your tenure.
No, I'm telling you that even the one of American company was concessioned about 3 years before I left office. So it's not true.
27 of those hospitals,
but 3 hospitals,
no, that's not true. You left office.
You are lying, and people told you that it's lying. The truth is that only 3 were given to churches, Methodist, Anglican Church, that came for it, and the process has been on even before that day, because you have to meet some requirements. So if I did that before leaving office, only 3 hospitals, that's wrong information, completely. I disagree with you.
So you didn't.
And let me tell you something that might surprise you. Okay, the record I set in Imo State cannot be beaten by anybody who tells you this story. Probably that's the best Imo has had since creation. How about that? What you remember is the statue. Let me tell you, the statue has become the biggest tourist attraction in Imo State.
Some of them have been pulled down.
Who pulled them down? Nobody pulled anyone down. The only one they pulled down is Akachi, the place of adoration. It's like Akachi is the hand of God, where you go for adoration ground for Christians. And the foreign individual went and pulled the hand down for whatever reasons he attached to it. That's the only one pulled down. You can't pull down those statues. They're beautiful things. If you like, I tell you that many dignitaries have visited that place. Presidents of other countries have visited that place. I can call names of them. I
mentioned the 30 hospitals that you said you would build with 30 billion naira, and they're all just structures. Nothing in them.
Yes. Have you been there?
Am I right or wrong?
Have you been there?
It's a question I'm asking. Am I right or wrong?
Will build a hospital? The hospital is there.
But there are no structures. They are not functioning.
What do you mean? How can... Listen, you see, some of you have very myopic thinking. I think about the future. Let me give you an example where I got this. Let me tell you what I saw in China when I went to Shanghai. And I saw people building 103 floors buildings, concrete, building for the next generation. If I had not built that hospital, Imo State would never have had such hospital for the rest of their history. And right now, no governor in Imo State will ever build any hospital for the next 50 years.
So how does it make you feel knowing that some of those structures are decaying? They are overgrown.
It's not meant to decay, because if the incoming governor never attended to it, why will it not decay? If you have a brand new building, you don't decay, you don't attend to it, it will decay. So I don't even know the status now because I'm not a governor, but I think that's an asset that Imo State should be proud of any time.
How does it even feel considering the kind of contribution you claim to have made and the EFCC is seizing some of your properties, including a portion of your foundation?
That's interesting. But that's what I'm saying. The EFCC has the power of investigation. If I write a report about you now that you're a criminal, you stole the camera of this, EFCC will come for you. If it's to come and investigate. So that's the difference. You see, people mistake investigation from actually confirming that somebody is a criminal. And when you ask this question, you try to set somebody up against saying certain words. And when you say it now, it looks like you are fighting anybody. But the truth is that I have not been found guilty by any panel of inquiry or by EFCC. And come to talk about what you said before, that Imo State government is problem. How can Imo State government be problem and EFCC problem on the same issue? Doesn't it sound funny? Does it sound political? No. Even from a layman, you're not a lawyer. But it's a double jeopardy. It's different investigating contract. How many people will be investigating Rochas on contract? And yet, what Rochas have done in Imo State has beaten every record in history. Our problem in this country is unity of purpose. But now that we have one common enemy, I thought we should have used the opportunity to unite the entire nation. At least now that we have one common enemy.
You see that
see ourselves as brothers and sisters.
You see that
and not trivialize this issue of tribalism and where we come from, which is affecting our nation in a very
distinguished Senator Rochas Okorocha.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
for
much.
Coming on Hard Copy.
And I wish I can come here more and more again to discuss on some of these issues I've just raised.
Thank you very much. Well, that's our program tonight. But we always want to hear from you, so send us a message using the handles and email address showing on your screen. Thank you for watching. I am Terry Ikumi.